Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Back to Me podcast. This is another awesome episode, and I'm talking to Sheryl Utal, and she has written a book about transcending limits and all of the challenges that she has overcome. And we're talking about how to really step into your awesomeness, as always. So have a listen. Check Sheryl out. She's amazing. And let me know what you think. Talk to you soon. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. Hello, my friend. Whoa, life's loud. I hope you're having an excellent day. It's Heather. It is the Back to Me podcast. Yes, this is real life in the Back to Me podcast. And this is another chance to talk to somebody awesome about something that will help us find our way to more awesome, right? So this week I am talking to Sheryl. I'm not going to try to say her last name.
It's like the state. It's like the state, but with an
Utah?
L.
Utah?
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would have
Easy.
guessed right. That's so easy. That's so easy.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
easy. It's
are
easier than it looks. Yeah.
right. And you are the creator of
Mhm.
Japa Health.
I am that.
That's so cool, among many other things.
Yes.
And I know that there's like everybody's got this history and this road that's never straight that led them to where they are now. And I always find that
Mm.
fascinating. So what led you on this road to
Mm.
the Sheryl you are today?
Well, you're correct. It was a long, windy road.
Right?
That's for sure accurate. Um, what led me to this current place where I am right now in this right here moment, um, is a journey of, well, we're just going to go there, pain.
Right.
Yeah,
Sometimes that's the thing.
yeah, we're just gonna go there, right? We're gonna say it, it's what Carl Jung says, there's no coming to consciousness. And I went through my fair share of it for sure. And learned a lot of really important lessons. And when I came out of the other side of some of the more difficult ones, I realized that I'm not the only one that experiences these kinds of universal human struggles. And so as a result of this understanding that, you're not the only one, this is life. Life is hard. We all go through it. And in the middle of all that, we have to balance everything. We have to balance personal life. We have to balance our own self-care. We have to balance our professional endeavors, finding our purpose, living our purpose, taking care of our bodies and being healthy, having fulfilling relationships. I like balancing all of it.
Right.
And after a career of doing different things, I was really inspired by my own transformation and wanted to help other people experience similar results. And I opened a yoga studio in Los Angeles in 2013 and grew it and grew it and grew it and grew it. And I had this amazing, beautiful community. And so many people in that community approached me and said that they were interested in achieving the same kind of health success and life purpose and professional success that they saw embodied in me as the leader and the creator of that community. And I mean, thousands of people looked me in the face and said, where do I start? They knew my story and they said that. And I eventually sold that business for a number of different reasons. But after that, I was doing a lot of soul searching myself. What am I going to do next? How am I going to be of service? How am I going to do something that is authentic and in alignment with my dharma and something that I feel serves the world? And also leverages my gifts, like what I'm good at, what I've learned, all these amazing lessons. And so I built and created Japa Health, which is a tool for people to understand their most ideal starting point for their own personal healing, their own personal growth, and truly the integration of balance. So we have 10 determinants of health that we score as the result of an assessment. So you take the assessment and you get basically a scorecard with a dashboard across these 10 determinants. And it's a unique assessment in that everything is connected to everything else. So how you answer questions in one category will affect the others. And it's also unique in the sense that it includes a spirituality, which I believe is it cannot be excluded or overlooked. It is foundational to everything that we do. Everything is energy and everything is interconnected. And so what you believe about yourself and the world and the frequency that you hold, and whether you're in survival mode or you're in resentment or you're in lack, that is going to affect your immune system. It's going to affect your relationships, your sleep, your energy, everything. So that's a unique differentiator inside of the Japa Health methodology as we approach wellness. I truly believe, and it has been my direct experience, that you cannot overlook your spiritual beliefs and your connection to something bigger than yourself, something, call it God, creator, source, the universe, energy, whatever. Everybody has their own, unique relationship to it, but that thing,
That
right? That
thing.
that thing. That thing. So that's Japa Health. We're an early stage technology startup, and we are working on growing and working with more partners and attracting more investors and continuing to build out this beautiful tool that can be of service to people that want to navigate the path of evolution in their own life efficiently, because you can go to Lord Google or anywhere else for that matter and get very overwhelmed. You can get very overwhelmed. You can also just start trying things and listening to whoever, and everybody's going to have a different point of view on how to navigate, what to do. And I see people in my everyday life all the time, my family included, that struggle with basic things: energy, weight management, hormone balance, autoimmune issues. They don't want to be on medication anymore. They want to be more present with their kids. Everybody has these struggles that we want the best life. We want to have the best, most fulfilling life. We want abundance. We want meaning and purpose. We want to have time to do the things that we enjoy, but yet it's very difficult to do that
Right. And it's
when
true
you're
that
sick,
not
especially.
and it's not just one thing. So it's like I do this talk every now and then on summits about there's no such thing as work-life balance, because it's those we aren't just work. Like, you can't see it
No.
that way because you won't be able to get a good grip on what it is that's really hanging you up. And I love, like, I do something similar. I have 6 components of health, and definitely one of them is spirituality when I'm helping people kind of figure out where to start. Because as much as we're not compartmentalized, if you try to look at everything, sometimes it's just too overwhelming and you need that starting point. And yes, if you
Yeah.
ask Dr. Google, Dr. Google will tell you the worst possible answer. At one point, I thought I had cancer because I asked
Right.
Dr.
Right.
Google.
Right.
In a moment of weakness, I asked Dr. Google.
Well, and it's not just the worst possible answer, but it's also not based on the biology of belief. It's not based on psychoneuroimmunoendocrinology. It's not. It's a very different allopathic Western medicine approach that um I don't subscribe to that methodology. I think that it has its place sometimes, but if you're looking for the best life possible, if you're looking to
Right.
be in your power, if you truly want to be in your power, then I believe that there's a different approach that is more fruitful than what the Western allopathic medical model has to offer. And when I talk about spirituality, I think that it's important to distinguish um, between this idea of like believing in something bigger than yourself, which is important and is included. But I think that the most important part, or at least it has been for me, the part that is missing for most people is, who am I?
Mm,
When I say that word I, or I am, or I feel, or I need, or I want, who is that? Who is the I? And what force is driving the I in my life? Right. So, and it's something that many people have not contemplated or discovered, not by any fault of their own, because I was that same way. I mean, I was practically sleepwalking through life at, 25 years old, before I had my dark night of the soul and my, my health crisis and my spiritual crisis and all this. I think that foundational to finding balance, to finding purpose, to finding true vitality, true health, is finding your true self.
right.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that I've known people who were afraid to find out who that true self was because I don't know what they thought they were going to find, but they were afraid to even entertain the thought of it.
Where, yeah, I don't want to look because I don't know what I'm going to discover.
Yeah. What if I don't
Well,
like it?
yeah, I mean, well, but that's the opportunity. The opportunity is, if you don't really love that part of you, then how do you learn to love that part of you? And how do you learn to give the authority of your life over to a part of yourself that you do love?
Right.
Because until you look there, like, okay, if there are parts of yourself that you don't love, if there are parts of yourself that carry shame, which I think we can all relate to if we're being honest, right?
Yeah. This is real.
This is real. Like, there's some fundamental smallness in all of us. And if we don't face it, if we don't turn towards it, understand it, love it, integrate it, then it will have a role in directing your life. And it will be like, what's the word I want to use? It will be unmanaged, right? It will
Right.
be unchecked, and it will be, you know, there's like expressions, like one of them that's coming to mind is like, then you'll end up bleeding on people that didn't cut you,
Right.
because that part of yourself will show up, and it will have an energy there. And so I think that, yeah, sure, there's parts of ourselves that are not our favorite, but until we learn to understand them and put them in their place, they have a place. They do. It's like if you think about it, like a board of directors, okay? They all have a key to the boardroom. They have lifetime access to the boardroom. They can come and go whenever, but you can't always let them control the meeting,
Right.
right? Like, you got to decide who's in control of that meeting, right? Like, you can't let everybody just, run the show. All the little inner voices, like, the inner victim, the inner critic, the inner child, like, they have to have their turn and their place. And they're not going anywhere. Like, they have a lifetime key card to the boardroom. Like, they're
Right.
really not going anywhere. I mean, this is my experience, and I think this, the amount of psychology and neuroscience and, human behavior and philosophy that I've studied, has sort of proven this to me, right? That
Right.
this is been well known for thousands and thousands of years. The ancient mystics and sages and philosophers were all talking about it too. So I think there's a lot of peace in knowing that you're not alone in this idea that you have all these aspects of your psyche that you might not like. You've, like, everybody has like their inner asshole, like their inner bitch, their inner victim. Okay,
But they all
so
serve a purpose. Like, if you think about it, all of those different people who live in your boardroom, they all have a reason to be there.
they
And
do.
I think we get into trouble when we try to kick them out and they and we think we've locked the door, but suddenly they're back in the room when we don't
Well,
want them
yeah,
to be in charge,
that's right. So the best thing that you can do is manage it.
right?
Know who's who, know who gets triggered how, you know, and I think that the aversion people have to doing that, um, there's another expression. I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's something like the magic that you're seeking is in the work that you're avoiding.
Oh, I like that though.
Something
Even
like
if you
that,
did
right?
butcher it, we'll take it.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't take credit for it, but I mean, I've heard it and I believe it to be true. I mean, I think that the difficult thing is for most people, they don't even know they're avoiding it. It's not necessarily an intentional aversion. They
right.
just haven't been given the tools. They haven't been exposed to those kinds of practices. They haven't been initiated in some way. And they keep repeating patterns, whether they drink too much or they just have bad habits, right? Things in their life that they're not proud of, that they want to get out of, that are affecting their health and their well-being, but they don't know how to do the shadow work. They don't know where to go and look. And I think that's a big part of our Western culture is that like everything is designed to keep you far away from yourself, to be looking outside of yourself, right? Buy more stuff and you'll be happy, you
Well,
know?
and we deny that there are shadows in Western culture, right? It's like everything is sunshine and unicorns. You vomit out rainbows, and
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
who's sad, it's like, no, 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 no sadness. Look
yeah.
over here, look over here. There's something
Right, right,
shiny.
right. Just constant distractions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's evidenced in if you look at the statistics of how many people actually sit their ass down and meditate. Like actually do it. Do it. Everybody has heard that word before. Like there's nobody that has never heard of meditation, right? But how many people actually do it?
I don't even know the stats.
It's so low. I mean, I think I've checked before 2% or
Part
something
of
like
my
that. I
program
mean,
that I run, and as I ask people, 5 minutes, just give me 5 minutes every day. Just sit
yeah,
there. You don't even have to do anything, just sit there.
just be
And
quiet.
yeah,
Notice your breath. It doesn't have to be any kind of formal or structured or guided. You're not listening to some app, right? Like, how about just listen to your own thoughts? What's going on in there?
you don't have to sit in
What's actually,
lotus,
no, you don't have to sit in lotus. And I'm
right?
actually an advocate of you don't even have to sit still. You can go for a walk,
Yeah,
but
walking
you
meditation.
know, yeah, the fact that people are just always distracting themselves from themselves. Um, and we're not taught about that. And the second that people start to discover who they are, it's suddenly like their perspective widens and everything is so much more beautiful and meaningful and special and powerful and opportunities are everywhere, you know? And so I want that for people. I truly want people to awaken.
Yeah, we're not I mean, you and I are, kind of on the same wavelength. Like, we're not doing this to be tough love and make you sit and suffer.
No,
It's to help you. I've got a quote somewhere in some of my social media somewhere
of
that
course I'm
on
gonna
the
have a
other
coughing fit
you cough
now.
away. On the other side of your pain is the awesome. So if you could just, like, get like, it's not forever. Still, all that crap's
It's
not
not.
forever. It might feel like it at the time, but it's not. So if you can just, like, keep slogging forth, then you get to the awesome side, right?
You really do. There
Right?
is a breakthrough.
Yeah. What was the name of your book? You held it up earlier. I didn't see
It's called
Transcending
Transcending Limits.
Beautiful. Oh, and it's a
Yeah,
workbook. Oh my god, I
it's a
love
workbook.
workbooks.
Yeah, it's a workbook. And actually, the final version is spiral bound. So it's a lot easier to use.
to work it.
But it's,
Ah,
yeah.
right. For people listening, you're just going to have to go over to YouTube and watch the video so you can see the
Oh yeah,
beautiful
you'll have to
picture.
go because
That's
there's lots
okay.
of space. There's lots of space. There's contemplations
Right.
for each one of the chakras. And there's a really beautiful future self design exercise. And it's around having a vision and intentionally creating that vision and understanding what the obstacles are on the path towards creating that vision
Right.
for your life, because um, you can't be what you can't see.
Well,
Right.
and what I often like to have people do when they're thinking about that future vision of what they want is, because you know it's going to happen. Which one of your board members is going to jump in and try to
Right.
derail you? So,
Right.
so can
Yeah.
you anticipate that synchronicities? I love those.
Mhm.
Can you
Yeah.
anticipate? I read
Anticipate.
one of the first books I read that mentioned it was Jensen Sheryl. She called hers The Little Prince, and she said, "The little prince can come, but he has to sit in the back seat. Forgive yourself,"
Yeah.
right? Oh, Maya Angelou, awesome. Your book
Yeah. So there's a bunch of really
fantastic.
magical
Yeah,
quotes in here. And it really explains the laws of magnetism and energy and how energy flows through the body, from lower centers, like the survival centers, all the way up through higher intelligence centers, how you can activate them, how you can understand them, how they play a role in your life. And really, this is just the culmination of the work that I've done in my life that has helped me become who I am today. Am I perfect? No. But the way that I like to describe it is it's like, okay, you still have to know how the game works. You need to know what the rules of the game are. And then you just try to play the best game you can. This doesn't mean that you're gonna win every day, but you show up and you play the best game that you can. And so I wrote that book recently, actually. I just used to teach a workshop on future self-design, and it was my most popular workshop ever. People loved it, and the reviews were terrific. And I really wanted to share it with as many people as I could because it was so powerful for me. And so I wrote it all down for everybody, for the world to have access to.
well, and it's interesting. One of the things that I have a conversation with clients often about is, have you intentionally designed what you want your life to look like, or are you just kind of cruising through, like you called it, sleepwalking?
Yeah.
But are you just letting life buffet you around and you don't actually have any idea what you want?
Well, I think the risk there is not just that you'll end up at the end of your life unfulfilled, but that you'll end up sick.
Hmm.
Because what I've come to understand is that the unprocessed emotions, and maybe your audience already knows this, but that kind of energy is a very heavy burden. It's a very heavy burden for the system. And, if you read The Body Keeps Score or any of these other books about it, you know that your issues are in your tissues.
Yeah,
And so until you work out these
yoga
issues, until
teachers
you
know
know
that for
who,
sure.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, and until you work out who you
Oh,
are,
Cheryl's
what you
frozen, you
want.
guys.
Oh no,
Hopefully she's not gone too long.
I'm here. I'm here. Am I back?
Okay.
I'm
Um,
back.
we we thought you were frozen, so we were just
I could hear
waiting.
you. Yeah. So I
Okay,
was
yeah.
talking about I was talking about your issues are in your tissues, and I really fully believe, and this has been evidenced in my own healing from an autoimmune disease. When I first got diagnosed, my autoimmune antibodies were just like in the thousands. They were like 15,000. And just for context, you don't want to have antibodies for yourself
Yeah.
in your body, right? At all, let alone at that level, right? So the last test that I had done was a few months ago, and the antibody levels were down to like 120. Under 100 is like no disease. So I've been on this journey for a long time, but I don't take medication. And what I do is I self-regulate. I become very aware and attuned to the energy that I'm experiencing. And remember, thoughts and feelings are energy. That's what they are. So until you know who you are, what you want, what your values are, what your beliefs or limiting beliefs might be. Um, you don't really know how that's going to affect your health over the long term,
Right.
and the risk of not understanding those things is more than just living an unfulfilled or fulfilled life. Like, I truly believe that as we get older, as you get into your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I think that the quality of your life ends up being determined by the quality of your relationship with yourself,
Right.
the peace you've made. Yeah.
And being able to look at yourself. There was that book that came out a little while ago that was all the rage, love yourself like your life depends on it. And one of
Mm.
the exercises he was having, I think it was him, if I'm misquoting, I'm not perfect, was you look at yourself in the mirror and you tell yourself you love yourself.
It's in my book too.
Is it? But it's interesting.
Mirror work. I mean, we call it mirror work, right? It's
Yeah.
like, just look yourself in the eye.
But it's interesting how often people say, "Oh, I look at myself all the time." But if you actually look yourself in the eye in the mirror, you go,
Uh-huh.
"Whoa,"
It's confronting. It's very confronting. And if you do it with the intention to truly see yourself,
right?
hmm
And it takes some
it's
getting
a
used
lot.
to,
Hmm
but don't run away. Nothing bad is gonna
No,
happen. I mean,
no. The way that I discovered this practice was actually through yoga.
mm,
Because there's many different styles of yoga. There's different methodologies and different formats and ways to approach the practice. It's all based on the same fundamental philosophies, but the physical practice varies a lot depending on who you study from. And I first started practicing that kind of yoga that's like more more like the Bikram practice of yoga, which
okay,
is mostly a standing sequence. It's done without music. It's done in a very hot room in front of the mirror. And it's so uncomfortable and so challenging. And at the same time, you're looking at yourself. So you're watching yourself in these awkward positions in the heat, falling and wobbling all over the place. And you see yourself through this experience. And the meditative aspect of the practice is to focus on yourself in the mirror. You don't want to have your eyes wander all around. You're not looking at the person next to you, right? Or your pedicure or whatever that, like,
right.
it's look in the mirror, see yourself, stay present, stay focused, remember why you came. And all the while you're like drenched in sweat and wobbling all over, and you've got a cramp in some who knows where. And can you breathe and stay calm and stay present and stay focused on yourself the whole time?
I
And
ended up
it's
feeling
very
nauseous in that
difficult.
class. That
It's,
class,
yeah,
I had to lay down. I was like, "I'm gonna barf on someone."
yeah,
Right?
yeah. It definitely
It's
is
intense.
humbling. It's definitely humbling. And to this day, I still set my intention every single time when I take a Bikram class just to stay present and keep my eyes on myself. Because boy, oh boy, is it easy for you to just, who knows where your eyes are going, right? Next thing you
Well,
know, you're like, oh man, come back. Just keep coming back. Come back
yeah.
to the present.
And I mean, I've been teaching yoga now for almost 20 years, and you can see people are like, they're in a downward dog looking at the person behind them, and oh, their
Yeah.
feet are down and mine aren't down, and look at that.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my belly's hanging down. And it's like,
The comparison. Yeah.
that's not why we're here.
But
Like,
it's also, if they're not looking at somebody else, then they're judging themselves, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I suck at this, or I'm not flexible, or whatever the story is, the inner dialogue, that board member,
that one.
right? That's talking, right? That's talking out of turn. That's like, that's an old story that board member needs to retire, you know? And so
Yeah,
that's how I started discovering the benefits and the profound self-development from the mirror, and just look at yourself, to be able to see yourself, especially in that vulnerable situation.
right.
You can't run away.
No.
Yeah.
And the stories that you're telling yourself, aren't true because they're stories, right? So
Yeah, they're just stories.
can you hear
And
them? Can
you
you
can
hear?
change the narrative.
And if you sometimes you can hear the person, like it's not you who actually started that story. It's like, who was that? Why did I believe that?
Where did that belief come from?
Right? Because you didn't come in believing that, right?
Right. Yeah, so I'll often ask people, who were you before the world told you who you were supposed to be?
Right?
Can you remember? Can you remember who you were? And so if you do this work, whether it's, mirror work, yoga, all the other things that are in my book, meditation, all of it, right? What I believe that it does is it brings you back into your power. And your power is to change the story. Your
Yeah.
power is to change your energy. Your power is to show up in situations, to live your life in a frequency that you choose so that you're intentional instead of reactive.
Right.
Right. And to me, that's health.
It's true. I mean, if you can actually we still have that part of our brain that is going to be the reaction, but we have developed this ability to say, okay, you want to go over there and kick that person, but really,
Mm.
we're not going to do that. Why do you want to kick them? Or,
Why? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
why did that come?
If you have the space between, right, cultivated within your life, if you're able to pause and notice that, okay, so that's anger or whatever it is that's coming up, and ask yourself what part of you feels that way and why. And is it valid? Is it not valid? That's health, right?
Right.
And then going back to the autoimmune disease, nobody talks about this except for me that I've heard of. That I mean, I believe that autoimmune disease is a spiritual problem through and through because you are essentially at war with yourself. You are essentially experiencing your immune system attacking itself. But your immune system and your emotional system are connected. I mean, everybody knows that when you get stressed out, you're more likely to get sick, right? Like everybody knows that. Like stress is the leading cause of disease. That's common knowledge. But somehow people aren't connecting the dots between the epidemic of autoimmune disease. More women are diagnosed with autoimmune disease every year than cancer, diabetes, and heart disease combined.
And it's in
Come.
so many forms, right?
Yeah, it manifests as, type 1 diabetes, Hashimoto's, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, MS. I mean, there's so many, and there's more and more that are, constantly being
I would
categorized
even
as a new
I would even
autoimmune
say
disease
some of the syndromes, like, that they can't they're like, "Oh, you have this syndrome," like IBS
or fibromyalgia. Yeah,
or
yeah.
chronic fatigue. We can't figure out what it is, but we'll give it a name so you know what to call it.
Well,
And
and
yeah,
then they can give it a pill.
yeah,
Once they have a name, they can give it a pill.
yeah,
At the end of the day, to me, it's energy. It's if you have unprocessed emotions, if you are living in survival mode, if you're carrying resentment and grief and shame, those frequencies are poisonous. They truly are. They do not create health. They do not create vitality. They do not create abundance. They do not create peace. And the challenge really is to just be self-aware enough to know, because we're human and so life is hard, right? I have a startup. This is not easy, right? This is so difficult. But the challenge is to remain regulated, and remember who you are and remember your power. I mean, I have some days where, I'll admit it, like I'm not in my power, but I'm aware of it.
right. You can't make a decision if you're not aware.
Right.
Like, you can't make a different choice if you don't have an awareness. So for whenever I'm teaching people, I'm like, your first step is to be aware. Then you have to decide, and then you have to take an action. You could decide and not take an action, and then it doesn't save you. It doesn't help you. Like, I'm never going to X again, New Year's Eve. What do you say? I'm never doing this again. And then you don't take any
Right.
further actions because that would take an effort. So it's like, but it always has to start with that awareness. If you're not aware, then nothing will ever change. You'll just keep.
Yeah. And that's why I wrote the book Transcending Limits, because it's a shadow work workbook. So it is designed to create a process to explore your own shadows, to understand when they're coming up, and to
Right.
know how to integrate them.
How long does it take someone usually to go through that? Or have you
It's fast. It's not, I mean, you could probably just sit down and read it in a couple hours. The workbook
the
part of
work's
it and the
longer?
contemplation. Yeah, the work is longer, and then at the end of it, there's a 90-day journal to help with the integration. So
Oh,
it's the
nice.
first half of the book is the education on all the different energies, triggers, regulation, co-regulation, the power of your voice, all of these types of things, the nervous system. So that's the first half of the book. But then the second half of the book is how do you actually live intentionally from a place of power so that you can live up to the vision that you have for your life. You can actually create that vision. And then there's the 90 days journaling that helps you really integrate all the work.
Um, I'm super excited to get a copy, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm totally
yeah.
getting it. And where do they find it?
They can get it on my website, SherylUtall.com.
Okay. Don't worry, friends.
Yeah,
It's going to be in the show notes because some people went,
yeah.
what? What did she say? No, it's okay. It's going to be in the
Yeah,
show
so yeah,
notes.
SherylUtall.com. And you can also find a link on SherylUtall.com to take the Japa Health assessment.
Oh, yeah, with
So
the
that's all there
10.
too. So if you want to get your vitality score and your personal roadmap on where to start, it's free right now. That will eventually change as the company grows and scales. But right now, you can go be a beta tester and you can go get your personalized roadmap and your scores.
Oh, exciting. I love getting little quizzes. It's my
Yeah,
thing.
learning about yourself.
It's
Hmm.
like it becomes a rabbit hole that you go down, but it's not one like Instagram. It's like one that's actually good for you. The rabbit hole
Yeah,
of figuring out who you
exactly.
are, right?
Exactly. Well, and also there's just a lot of information in there. I mean, like for example, one of the determinants of health is hydration, and there's so much misunderstanding about what hydration really is, true cellular hydration. And so there's information, across the 10 determinants that can really help bring a lot of clarity into most people think they have to keep adding and adding, oh, I have to do more, I have to add more supplements, where in reality, it's in most cases about simplifying,
Right.
getting back to the foundations of what creates health, what creates a good life, what creates fulfillment.
Not
I think
another
we
pill.
overcomplicate it. Not
Yeah.
another pill.
Not another pill.
No, not
That's
another pill. I mean, yeah,
amazing.
there's awesome biohacking stuff out there if you want to get into the red light therapy and all the things, right? And we do advocate for a lot of those things, but in most cases, it's like just simple things like how are you breathing? And are you getting grounded enough? And are you speaking your truth? It's really simple things. Are you getting enough protein? You know,
Right.
like it's just
Good protein.
yes, good. Yeah, clean protein. Are you educated about where you're sourcing your water? Are you educated about where you're sourcing your food? And really just getting rid of all the noise and focusing on what are the determinants of health. The foundation for a healthy life is the foundation for healthy relationships, thriving businesses, and everything that we all want. We
I'm
all want to
super
feel good about who
excited
we
for
are.
your startup to become like worldwide, epically known,
Yeah,
and
me
just
too.
helping people really get because I mean, just being able to start would be a huge step for a lot of people, right? Just knowing
Yeah.
where to start.
And I see so many um, beautiful offerings out there in the world around mental health, around fitness, around nutrition, around finances, right? There's so many different apps and solutions. There's so many that there aren't really any that I've truly seen that are as foundational and as holistic.
Right.
Most people I know that are not on the path of self-development yet, but that want to get started are not prepared to just go to the gym and start lifting heavy. They're not prepared to just go take a vinyasa class, right? They're not prepared physically for all of these things. Like they don't have the foundations of just basic posture, alignment, breath, simple things like that. Don't know how their liver works. They don't know how the endocrine system works. Why does their body respond to sugar and carbohydrates the way that it does? Why are they storing fat the way that they are? So I think fundamentally we have to start with education.
Yeah.
Like if you stop people on the street and you say, who taught you how to be healthy? What are people going to say?
They might refer to a daytime television show, but hopefully not.
Right? So I'm really looking forward to, huge success and reaching and supporting a lot of people. It's been a difficult journey. Getting funding for a project like this is not an easy thing to do. And it's expensive to build technology like that. So we are actively fundraising as well
Nice.
and looking for partners and continuing to push forward as we believe that the world needs support and
Well,
humanity needs support.
and you think about like disruptors of systems are doing things that haven't been done. So it
Mhm.
takes that time to really say, no, this is something new that's needed, and let's put some support behind it, which I think is
Yeah.
so valuable.
Yeah, and
So good.
thankfully, people are starting to wake up to the fact that they have more power over their well-being than they were previously led to believe.
Hmm.
Especially in the last few years, there's been a really big shift in consciousness and a really big shift in awareness. So people are really thirsty for it now, and we want to get it out there.
Perfect timing, right? That's so good.
Yeah.
You have so much knowledge and so much wisdom. I understand why all your yoga students were saying, tell us what to do, tell us what to do.
Um,
And, but um, what I love is always to give my guest the last word of wisdom. So, do you have something still, even with everything you shared, words of wisdom? You could have more than one word for the listeners.
um, well, I would say in my own journey, what has inspired me and driven me and given me that thing deep inside that has pushed me to become the version of myself that I am right now is never settle.
You're
Just
worth
don't
it,
settle.
right?
Just, yeah, you're worth it. Exactly. Like you're worth everything that you desire. Literally everything. You're worth it and never, ever, ever, ever settle. And that has been the foundation for everything that I do. I really truly believe in excellence. I really truly believe we can have it all. So I live that. I live those principles every day. And yeah, I think that if people are really truly honest with themselves, then they'll be able to look at their life. I mean, they can take the Japa assessment and that will help them get some insight into where they're
Yeah.
settling. But if you're really truly honest with yourself and you evaluate what you believe, how you spend your time, where you invest your energy and your attention, I think that you'll realize, and I do it too, that there's areas where we settle. There's areas where we settle. I mean, if you're spending 3 or 4 hours a day on social media, you're settling. You're
Right.
settling because you know that that's not for your highest good,
Yeah.
and to me, I think that we all can take an honest look at ourselves regularly and say, where am I settling?
That's
Yeah.
lovely. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Sheryl. That
much,
was
Sheryl.
awesome.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for
Thank you.
having me.
I'm gonna
Delightful to hang out.
and I am totally gonna go and take the quiz. Like
Yay.
like right in like 2 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me know
And
how you like it.
yeah, I will. And friends in podcast land, go take the quiz. You know, I'm a big fan of quizzes. Go check out the book. Go at all the websites, all the links are gonna be in the show notes. Look at yourself in the mirror, really, like really, and send
Mhm.
yourself some love.
Love.
And
Yeah.
love, love, love. And I'm
Acceptance.
gonna send some love to Sheryl. Thank you so much
Love
for
back to you,
joining
Heather.
me.
Thank
And
you.
friends in podcast land, peace out, my friends. I'll see you next time. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.